You're probably closer to buying your first home than you think, but there's no way of you knowing that unless you know the numbers. So here's the explainer video of the budgeting spreadsheet for first home buyers that I created. If you're watching this and you have no idea what I'm talking about, then you can just download it below and you can follow along with this video. Starting with this spreadsheet, everything below you can edit and put your own numbers in. Everything else is locked, so don't worry too much about changing the wrong thing. So number one, saving for your deposit. How much do you want to buy your house for? I've left this at $1 million because it's a nice round number, but ultimately you put in your number, or you can play around with multiple numbers and it will update the rest of the spreadsheet. Then of course, how much deposit are you aiming for? I've left the three main numbers here, and it will change obviously how much deposit you're aiming to get. I'm just going to leave it at 10%, and you can watch this video here to understand the difference about buying with a 10, 15 and 20% deposit. So next one is your current deposit size. What's your savings between yourself and your partner if you're buying with one? What is your KiwiSaver balances? And on here I would also add your super balances. So if you're like in the police and there is a KiwiSaver and a super, then just add that number together. And if you're getting a gift or something, then put that number in this option as well. Now if there's more than 2 applicants, then just add numbers together and the total will still come through at that number there. So 55,000 is the sum of these numbers added together. Your deposit goal obviously is 100,000 because you just said that, which is from this number, which means you are missing $45,000 that you need to get. So how long in months do you want to be able to save and reach this goal? So 24 months means obviously you're going to be able to, or need to save $18.75 per month. If you want to do it in 12 months, then that's going to go up. And again, just play around with these numbers so that you see what is realistic and what is possible for you. Next one is your current situation. So this looks at your income versus your expenses, because this is what you're living in right now and makes it way more realistic. So for your income, if you're employed and get pay slips, then you need to find a recent pay slip that represents your normal working hours. If you're self-employed, this is going to be a little bit harder to figure out. What I suggest you do is look at 1 year's worth of earnings, like what you paid yourself, and then maybe divide it by weekly, fortnightly or monthly, and then you just put these numbers in here and kind of just guesstimate it. So with this pay slip that you've got, if you're employed, which is most people, I'm going to show you this example here is for you. So number one is, how often are you paid? This person on this pay slip is paid fortnightly because you can see they do 80 hours. So you move that to fortnightly, and then you'd apply the same for your partner. Let's just say they're paid weekly. What was the amount you got paid after tax? So this is actually the same amount that you would get in your bank account. So if you want to cross-reference it, you can say that. On this pay slip, you can see down here it's 1984, so I'll put 1984 here, and let's just say your partner is paid $600 after tax per week. And then the next question is, how much did you pay into your KiwiSaver and Super this pay? So on this pay slip, you can see the employee contribution is $78, so I'll put 78 there. Let's say that your partner put $30 in, and again, if you have Super, just add these two numbers together and then put that number in there. And then your last question is, how much did your employer or your boss put into your KiwiSaver this pay? So on this version, it is $64, so I'll put 64 there, and I'll just put $30 for your partner as well. The reason I've done it this way is because different KiwiSaver amounts are taxed versus not taxed, and it's pretty hard to figure out any other way. So then once you put all that stuff in there, it gives you your household total of how much money you've got to play with, which in this example is almost $7,000. So you should have $7,000 every single month to spend on living. You're also getting combined about $300 plus $269 added jointly to your KiwiSavers. Next is your expenses per household. So obviously your rent might be about $500 per week, and you can change this here to suit whatever frequency. You might be getting $300, paying $300 per week for food, and then you can just work your way down these numbers and adjust them accordingly. If you've got kids, you might be paying childcare. If you've got debt, you might be paying that, and that might be $100 per month. So then what you're looking at here is the total per month of what it costs you and your household, I suppose, to live. So you're earning almost 7,000, you're spending 5,500. That means you should be able to save around $1,500 per month towards your deposit. Top of that, you're getting about $568 added to your KiwiSavers in total per household every single month. So that number there is these two added together. Okay, so that means if we summarize it in yellow here, your total deposit will increase by about $2,000 every single month, because that's what these numbers added up equal to. And that would take you about 22 months to reach your deposit goal, as talked about up here as $45,000. So that's almost 2 years. If you think that is doable and you're happy with that, then all good. Most of you won't be, so obviously you want to make that happen faster. You can watch that video there where I cover that. Here's some real basic ones. Obviously you could move back home or reduce your rent if possible. That will speed things up massively. If you paid off debt, that will speed up things massively. If you didn't have kids, so just play around with this stuff. Another thing is obviously you could buy a cheaper house. If you had wanted to buy for a 20% deposit, maybe look at exploring with a 10% deposit. Again, watch that video to see the pros and cons of doing that. I think you should buy for 10% deposit, but you need to understand the differences for yourself. And then just play around with what that looks like, because obviously if you lower the house price that you're going to buy and move back home, then you're going to save this way faster, which is great. And then number 6 and number 7 is more just a FYI of, here's the upfront costs of buying your own house, things that you probably may have not thought about yet. So building report, valuations, which you usually only need if you're buying with less than 20% deposit or a new build, lawyer costs, paying back council rates, mortgage advisors, so we're free, we get paid by the bank, a limb report if the real estate agent hasn't supplied you one, and then remember you're probably going to get at least $5,000 cash back after you've bought the house. So some of this stuff you have to pay up front. Lawyer fees you usually pay afterwards though. And then obviously the owning a house part, so ongoing costs, which kind of is your mortgage, is the biggest one. This number 720 has been taken from up here, so 800k minus 80,000 is 720. You can play around with the interest rates. Obviously have a Google of what the interest rates are at the time of you actually filling this in, or maybe you want to put a little bit of a buffer in there to make sure you can afford it. And then I would say set this at 30 years. Obviously you can repay a mortgage faster. I've got a video on that as well, but 30 years gives you a bit of a safety net. If you're like 50 years old, you may not get a 30-year mortgage approved, may only get a 20-year mortgage approved, which would mean the repayment on principal and interest would be this, and you can obviously play around with the different frequencies if you want, and the 30-year term, so $8.91 per week. So in this example, let's just make this week monthly. In this example, if you're currently saving that and your mortgage is going to be that, and then we excluded your rent because you're no longer renting, then you should easily be able to afford a mortgage at that level. So if you've done this and you think you've got at least 10% deposit or you're pretty close to that, then your next step is obviously to book a call to work with us. You can click there and you can learn about how we can help you buy your first home, because this is a very small piece of the puzzle. And what I find with a lot of first home buyers is they kind of have done their numbers, but then they don't actually know how to buy a house, and the buying the house part is way more complicated, and that's where I come in. So you can either work with us directly if you think that you are ready to, or you can keep educating yourself on the process, and to do that you can just join my free First Home Buyer Academy. The link is below for that. So you've got 2 pretty good options. I would say book a call if you think you're ready to buy within the next 3 months, and also join the free academy so you start understanding how that part of the house buying process works. And to do that, both links are below, or you can look at the sheet and the link will be there.